Matt Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. In the voice of NEW, Vince Berry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out SmackDowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space, now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
You think you know me?
On the stage, I see clearly everything was come to life.
Fuck yeah. Welcome to the War Report, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we are here live on a Tuesday. And,
Edge put on 2 matches in 24 hours that were better than half the locker room have done all year. Just want to
amen to that.
You gotta, if you're a main roster member and you see a guy that hasn't wrestled in fucking 12 years doing this shit, you gotta be like, oh, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it looks like he hasn't missed a beat.
Christian? And Christian?
Yeah.
Not only did Christian make a surprise return appearance at the Rumble, but apparently he's got one more match left in him, and he's been medically cleared. Yep. So things are maybe we'll get a little Edge and Christian run.
Well, you know what's going to happen. Well, not what's going to happen, but it's been hinted.
Yes, that Big E.
Right. Christian, for those of you who don't remember, when Christian had to retire 7 years ago, he earned a #1 contenders match for the Intercontinental Championship against then current champion Big E. 7 years later, who's the champ? Big E. Big E puts up a picture on Twitter from 7 years ago of him and Christian shaking hands in the ring after Christian earned that #1 contender spot. So that leads me to believe he's challenging for the Intercontinental title. Whether or not he wins is a whole other ball of wax. But I mean, hey, at least he's back out there.
I just I think we should dive right into the Rumble.
I could be seen on camera twice sobbing.
There was
a big view of Kat and her kids behind the announce table.
You know, the Rumble has very high expectations every year.
Yes.
Which sucks for the WWE because they really have to pull out the stops. And now you don't have to do it once, you have to do it twice every year, right? With the women's and the men's. And so as predicted, they did do the women's this time before the men's. I was happy with the Rumble. I thought it was great. A few great surprises like Victoria coming back.
Amazing.
Who I'll tell you that I never saw coming because she recently retired from in-ring competition. But you know what? When WWE says you have an opportunity to perform in your first ever Women's Royal Rumble, then you get out of retirement, you lace up those fucking boots and you get in the ring.
And a rightfully deserved female to do it.
Hey, listen, she's still somebody that I still think belongs in the Hall of Fame, but that's a story for another day. And let me tell you something, not for nothing, I had the honor of working a number of shows with her. Mm-hmm. And when I say work shows, I actually got to hang out with her. I got to talk to her. I got to get to know her. I've worked a number of them to the point where, you know, she knew me by name. And she was a very big supporter for Tag Me a Date, and she was always very sweet. I remember the first thing she said, she goes, "Are you fucking kidding me?" When it came to Tag Me a Date, she goes, "This is the greatest thing. I want a shirt." Gave her a shirt. Then she tweeted herself out wearing the shirt, things like that. Like, just really cool. She followed us on Twitter, this and that. I mean, she's sweet. And she deserves it. But, you know, Tori Wilson, whatever. I mean, I can with her without her. But again, a decent surprise. Didn't think she was going to come back again. I was kind of surprised that we did not see, and I'm not saying I wanted this, but in my gut, I was kind of thinking the Bella Twins were going to come out. I was also surprised that Kelly wasn't there, or Trish Stratus or Lita. Trish Stratus was kind of hinting for a couple days that she might be there.
With the tweet with Natalia and everything, yeah.
Right. So I was a little surprised, but all in all, I thought it was great. I am
but
thrilled.
You forgot Jillian Hall, the best one.
Let me tell you, I damn near pissed myself.
It was Jillian and Billy Kay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Annoying the shit out of people.
Which was just a perfect.
It was a great spot.
And to have Jillian coming back out doing that whole horrible singing gimmick. I mean, it was just, she was. It was a cool moment to see. It was funny as hell. So, you get that comedic relief in there. But all in all, I thought it was a great show for the women. And then Charlotte did not win. It came down to the final two that I said it would.
Yeah. And
we got Belair. And I'm so fucking happy for her. Especially just have watched her special on the network.
Yeah.
You kind of see a lot of what she went through growing up and the trials and tribulations that she overcame with her eating disorders and whatever else. I'm happy for her, man. You gave that was the right call. You have fresh, newer, younger talent winning the Rumble. She's going to be in WrestleMania. Question is, who's she going to go against? Either way, we win. Whether it's Asuka or
Sasha.
I think Asuka's not even going to be women's champion by WrestleMania.
That's a very strong possibility because, we'll get into Asuka, but
that as we go on. But yeah, so the women's Rumble. I think the first thing I texted after the end of the match when Bianca won was, "Hey, they actually did the right thing for once."
That's exactly what you wrote, actually.
Because I was sitting there. I picked 3 of the 4 final 4 for the women on our pick'em sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked Charlotte to win. And I'm like, shit, this is exactly what Steve and I talked about last week. It's going to come down to Charlotte and Bianca. And then Charlotte's just going to win because it's Charlotte. But they gave the right person the win for the first time in fucking years, it feels like. And she was excited. Showed a lot of emotion. She was happy to have won. Cut a good promo afterwards. Seemed genuine. Overall, no complaint. I mean, okay. I was going to have a complaint if Alexa transformed in the middle of the Rumble match.
Which she almost did.
Right, but but Rhea Ripley threw her out of the ring before she could transform, which is pretty good. That's the solution, is just throw her out of the ring.
That I was kind of disappointed by, though.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is the story of Alexa does not have to interfere with the women's championship, unless it's the Raw Women's Championship, because this seems like you've got Bianca on SmackDown, Sasha's on SmackDown. They're both very solid workers. Sasha would have zero problem putting Bianca over at WrestleMania because that's just who Sasha is. And I think if she does, Bianca's already a star. But if Sasha puts over Bianca and Bianca wins the title at WrestleMania, instant main event superstar up there with the 4 horsewomen automatically, just by having, if she has a good match and wins the title, she's a superstar for life.
100%. 100%.
I mean,
she is such a talent. She's got the look, she's got the build, she's got the mic work, the in-ring work. I mean, she really, when you talk about a total package, she's it.
Yeah.
She's it.
They showed her, it's almost like she's a female Mr. Perfect because they showed all that shit she can do. She can do everything, whatever sport, or not even sport, anything athletic. You put it in front of her and she's going to be able to do it.
I didn't actually know that Mark Henry was ultimately the reason that she got looked at by the WWE.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool because he took one look at her and said, "You have it," and he was right. She does.
Yeah.
I mean, she's
no denying that. And the good thing is she's so athletic they could take her, even if she wasn't necessarily. And I don't know what she was before WWE or NXT's program in the Performance Center. But even if she wasn't a great wrestler, that's why you bring them in and develop them, because she had everything. She had the cardio and the athleticism and the personality and the look. Mm-hmm. And then they go, oh, well, if all we need to do is teach her how to wrestle, we can do that. And then she's such a good athlete, she took to it. So, I mean,
right.
It's not like somebody who, I don't want to name names, there are women on the main roster, Nia Jax, that can't fucking wrestle.
Dana Brooke.
Yeah, but
Mandy Rose.
I was watching the women's Rumble with one of my friends. He's sending me messages. He's like, "Oh, can I, watch the show?" We're watching it. And he's texting me back and forth. The first match is the women's match for the Rumble, and he goes, "Well, what is this? Why is this one back? Why is that one back?" I'm thinking, I'm like, "You're right. They have between NXT, the Performance Center, and 2 brands in SmackDown and Raw, they've got way more than 30 women. They signed so many women from the independent scene over the last couple of years. I wanted more of that. Like, I'm glad the call-ups that we got. Like Santana Garrett was in there. She's another one that's been sitting on they signed her. She's been sitting and catering at SmackDown for like 2 months, and they haven't found anything for her to do.
Well, she's been working NXT, no?
Yeah, but they moved her up.
They moved her up already, though.
They've already moved her up.
And she hasn't been doing anything, right?
So I'm just, I understand it's nice to see the legends come back, but those girls, like, it's almost like they should have done what they did a couple years ago and have an NXT Rumble, and then the winner of that is in the Royal Rumble. And when Bo Dallas did that, and I know he got eliminated, but like, it would showcase the girls that they have, women that they have in developmental at the Performance Center and on NXT.
But they didn't give away that many legend spots, though. I mean, they did Jillian, Victoria, and Tori.
Is that it? Then
yeah.
If that's it, then I'm a.
Those were the only 3, like, I don't want to say has-beens, but past legend wrestlers
non-roster
that were non-roster wrestlers. Everyone else was either NXT, SmackDown, or Raw.
I thought there were more.
No, it was Victoria, it was Jillian, and it was Tori Wilson.
And that was it, huh? Wow.
Yeah, because then you had Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley was a surprise. Yeah.
Toni Storm. You had
wasn't really a
Dakota
surprise.
Kai.
Well, Toni Storm was a big surprise. Dakota, I wasn't sure of,
but now hold on a second. Is it confirmed that all the NXT ladies that we saw in the Rumble are they officially called up?
I don't think.
Like, I know Rhea Ripley is, but I don't think they called up Toni Storm yet. Or
they don't Shotzi, Tony. Shotzi was another one that was a nice surprise. Oh, Alicia Fox.
Shotzi can stay in NXT.
Sorry, I forgot Foxy. She was too busy with the 24/7. Sorry.
I didn't really understand that, to be honest with you.
I didn't either.
I think what happened was Art thought he was entering the men's Rumble. I think that's what they were trying to play up, was that R-Truth came out.
Yeah, wrong Rumble, he said. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he got pinned by her, but then he pinned her after she got eliminated. Yeah, I don't know.
The highlight of the night for me was when he was in the pre-show or whatever, when he was hunting for rabbits and ducks because he thought it was Bugs Bunny. Yep.
And he's dressed like Elmer Fudd. And he's talking about Bugs Bunny, like
season.
Bad Bunny. I guess we'll get into that because I have no problem with whoever they want to. Musical acts traditionally on WWE programming have not been great because the WWE engineers are not professional audio engineers for music concerts. The sound never quite sounds right. It's never really a great. Even I watched Living Color play CM Punk's theme, and it was like I was glad to see them live, but I'm like, it's not as good as it could. Bad Reputation.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob. What's up, Bob? I think he's talking about the 24/7 championship thing, and that was silly. Unless he's talking about Bad Bunny, which is also kind of silly. I don't listen. All I'm saying, Bad Bunny.
Are we going to address this whole Bad Bunny fucking thing right now?
Can I here's my take on it.
The song is a lot better than what it did the other night.
But what I'm saying is, this guy has hundreds of millions of streams on SoundCloud and Spotify, and hundreds of millions of views on YouTube videos. They got 10 million views for him diving onto Miz and Morrison. If I had that kind of clout or reputation, I would pay Booker T to do more than just stand there with his arms crossed. The music video, he hired a whole crew and had a music video. And I watched it when it came out, 4 minutes long, and it's Booker T standing there with his arms crossed. The guy, he can dance, he can do all kinds of stuff. Have Booker T do something, and then he just stands.
Or have him rap in the middle, have him do something. The whole thing was fucking stupid. It was a waste of fucking time. And let me tell you something. Get ready, because this motherfucker's wrestling at WrestleMania.
Oh, yes,
I'm telling you that right now.
It's going to be Miz and Morrison against Bad Bunny and what's his name there?
Damian Priest.
Yes, Damian Priest.
All right, hold on. Yeah. You brought up Miz and Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have a fucking cash in like we were supposed to.
So okay,
when the fuck is this happening?
We skipped the whole first match because it was only 4 minutes long. We went right to the women's rumble. They opened the show with a world title match that went 4 minutes long. We'll start with that.
Well, now hold on a second. Hold on.
Bedtime.
Hold on. Let's not fucking sit here and act like we're fucking shocked that the match was only 4 minutes long. Okay? We all fucking knew this match was not going more than 5 minutes. We knew that going in.
Yeah, but the segment, the reason it was shocking was the match just ended and then nothing else happened. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, there was a moment that I thought
they were raising their hands or whatever. I thought Goldberg was going
to turn heel.
Yep.
And then I thought he was going to be in the Rumble since he was so early on, and he was not, which I'm not complaining. But
I know that's what other people. Bad Bunny did not impress Bob. All right. Well. Wow, Bob.
Strong words by Bob.
Yeah. Bob is available for all of your life and health insurance needs. Apparently, he's a music critic as well, which is great.
He's actually been extensively involved in the music industry, so he does have a little.
He knows what he's talking about. There we go. I'm sure we'll get more comments from Bob in the comments. If you're watching right now and you're on Facebook or whatever, and you're commenting on the stream, we'll put your comment up if it's relevant to our conversation. So please comment and enjoy the show and follow along with us. Yeah, I just was underwhelmed by the Goldberg segment because for two reasons. I thought Goldberg was just going to run through him, and then
I am kind of surprised that Goldberg didn't win the match,
especially when he hit the jack.
I am. Well, you know why? Because it wasn't a week, maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. They were making a specific big deal about his new streak since returning, which is that he hasn't lost any championship matches. So I said, well, there it is. He's going to keep that streak alive right now. Right. So I was pleasantly surprised, mind you, when he did not win.
Yeah, I just don't. Yeah, we'll put the phone number up on the screen next. But the whole Goldberg thing, like I thought, we all kind of assumed the Goldberg.
That's the only wrestler Bob knew who it was, by the way, was Goldberg, because I was in chatting with him the whole time while I was chatting with you guys. That's the only wrestler he recognized all night.
You know what? That goes to speak as a general person who's starting to watch wrestling again. Unfortunately, those are the guys that you're not going to recognize Drew McIntyre. All right, even Bob said. So Goldberg, I thought he was going to win, and then there was going to be a cash in on Goldberg because Miz and Morrison would come out. Or I thought what you were thinking, Steve, McIntyre won, heel turn from Goldberg, spear, and then Miz and Morrison came out. Or on Monday Night Raw, Sheamus hits him in the face with a brogue kick, and Drew is down for like 5 minutes, and then they just cut to a commercial.
That's another thing. You're skipping around a lot now, and it's okay because now that you said it, I gotta fucking ask: how many heel face turns are we gonna get from fucking Sheamus? He was heel a few weeks ago, then he was face. Now he's heel again, taking off McIntyre's face. Like, I get it. It's all about the title. There are no friends when you're talking about the world title, and quite honestly, that's how it should be. But stick to one for a while. You know what I mean? It's like the flip flopping is just ridiculous. Is just ridiculous.
They were thinking that Drew needs a challenger in between WrestleMania. And between now and WrestleMania, Sheamus is just going to be the stopgap. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Because now here's the other thing. Speaking of the Money in the Bank, since we're on this topic, I put the question in the chat because I didn't know if Money in the Bank expired. I know when it was at Mania, it used to expire at Mania. Then when the Money in the Bank pay-per-view came around, you had a whole year until the next Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Now, Eric said in the chat when I asked that because Miz won it from Otis, Miz gets a year from when he won it from Otis, not a year from when Otis originally won it.
I think you're both correct. I think typically it's supposed to be Money in the Bank to Money in the Bank. You have until the next one to cash in. In this case, because there was a change in holder, I believe that next holder does get a full year, but I'm not 100% on that, but it does make sense. So, Ryan, the intern, if you're listening, we're expecting you to look up that, please. Thank you.
So that means that potentially you could have another Money in the Bank pay-per-view, and there's going to be 2 briefcases floating around. Because
that's true.
After Money in the Bank.
That's true. I didn't think of that.
Well, we've had 2 Intercontinental Champion ladder matches before, like, Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon,
Oh, man.
You know what's sad? I'm at a point now. I always looked forward to Money in the Bank, and I always look forward to the cash in, and I've never gotten to the point where I just couldn't give a fuck less anymore. Like we're at that point where either cash it in or let's pretend this never happened and we'll wait till the next one.
Yep. No, I agree. Like it's one of those things where this is as my dad used to say, or still would say, shit or get off the pot.
Miz made it a very big point over the last few weeks to talk about how he's going to cash in, and there was not even an attempt to cash in. It was almost like, oh, I never said that. Like,
I think, can I tell you what might have happened?
Please.
I think once Bad Bunny came in the picture and Vince realized he wanted Bad Bunny to be involved with this thing with Miz and Morrison, he dropped it again.
But Vince wasn't even at the Royal Rumble we established also, too. Vince hasn't been around for at least the last 2-3 weeks.
So it could have been maybe Triple H or whomever.
Hunter may have scratched it because Hunter, Bruce, and
Jason Jordan did the.
No, but what's the Kevin Dunn? They were in charge.
Well, now hold on a second. Let's not get that twisted either. Yes, you are correct. Vince wasn't there, and they were in charge of running the show. But if you think for 1 second Vince wasn't on the phone with them,
of course he was.
Probably 1,000,001 times that night. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I still feel like everything still went through Vince in the end.
Of course.
And I could definitely see Vince looking at Bad Bunny and saying, oh, the publicity and the money that can stem from him being there. Mm-hmm. We got to figure out how to do it. We can always push off the Money in the Bank longer, So, you can't fault him for that decision, but this Bad Bunny, I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting too old, but he did absolutely nothing for me. The performance to me just sucked. The song, it did nothing for me.
Well, I don't speak. I speak a little bit of Spanish. I went and looked up the lyrics to the thing because it's basically all in Spanish, except for him saying Booker T.
Oh God,
it really is. No, so the song itself, when I looked at the lyrics, is more about Bad Bunny's career and like people doubted me and now I'm a champion like Booker T. That's like the gist of the song,
right?
But like, I don't know, I would have expected more wrestling references in there. Like if the song's called Booker T, he doesn't say, "Can you dig it, sucker?" There was no Spinaroonie. Like there's stuff that could be done to make it more of a Booker T song. I don't know. They could have used the Booker T, like the Harlem Heat music as part of the beat.
Part of the issue with that, though, is Bad Bunny has a fixation with Booker T, which is why he chose Booker T. Okay. You're going to, when you're doing with the Latina community with the rapping and everything like that, because like I said, he's got 2 Latin Grammys. He's got MTV. The cross between the two, the wrestler that he picked, part of the lifestyle, doesn't necessarily coincide so well for it to be a mass money hit if he projected more about Booker T.
Gotcha. Okay.
If you see what I mean.
Yes, because there's not just a language barrier, there's a barrier of people who don't watch wrestling.
Correct.
And that's the other thing is because like I listen to Spanish rappers, but it's like, like Daddy Yankee, he'll rap, but then he raps in English. Like it's a little bit of both. And like, I'm more
Bad Bunny doesn't. Bad Bunny is like 99% of the time it's all in Spanish. Yep.
He was born in Puerto Rico and grew up in Puerto Rico, as opposed to like the rappers that I'm used to are from like New York.
Right.
They're from New York and they have
which is why they put the Damian Priest and the Bad Bunny thing together because they're putting the Baricuas together.
Right. And he's the party guy. He goes to the clubs and
exactly.
Bad Bunny, from what I can tell, I don't want to say this in an offensive way because it's not offensive. It seems like his English is not at the level that WWE would like it for somebody to cut a promo.
Oh, absolutely.
So he can say it in Spanish, and then all the Spanish people will understand, and then Damian Priest can translate for him.
Exactly.
So I see what they're doing. It's just like, I don't know, like Steve said, it didn't light me on fire. I'm not going out and buying his album or downloading on iTunes, but like, I don't know, we'll see what happens. He did a better dive than Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, he did.
Not hard to do. I could do, 30 pounds overweight. I could do a better dive than Snoop Dogg, but at least the kid tried. He looks like he wants to wrestle. I mean, more power to him.
He did better.
Hey, listen, there's nothing that says that they can't get him somewhat in ring ready in time for Mania if he truly, is invested in this is something he wants to do. So listen, I'm not taking the potential of him being in the ring, in a bad way. I've never seen him, so I don't know. All I can tell you is that his performance, to me, I could have done without it. So we had Goldberg McIntyre. It was kind of lackluster. The finish was not the way I expected, but I was happy to see the respect in the end, because for a second I really did think we were going to get a heel turn, and heel Goldberg is not good. So, I'm glad it went this way. I'm now curious to see how they incorporate Goldberg into WrestleMania. Listen, let's be honest. It's WrestleMania. So you have to automatically assume, get it in your head now so that you're not devastated when you get the official news he's going to be a part of Mania. Hey, listen, at the end of the day, if he's not a part of a title match, I'm happy.
Exactly.
I'm happy. I like seeing him. Even if he only does his 4 or 5 moves, I'm good. If it's only 3-4 minutes and the entrance is longer, I'm good. As long as it's not for a title. I like Goldberg. I do. Listen, he's not the best. He's not a great wrestler by any means, but he was an attraction. When we were kids, he was the sole reason, outside of Hogan and the NWO, that they beat WWF for as long as they did, because Goldberg was coming in and night out of nowhere and dominating. So, right.
I get
what I mean?
I get it. Yeah. Like I said, I just don't want him in the title hunt either. I agree with you 100% on that.
We agree on that.
Even him cutting a promo and just coming in and spearing and jackknifing somebody, like almost like a Hogan spot. I'm totally okay with that.
There's no reason. They have so many great talents on the roster.
Yep.
Give them the shot at the title. It doesn't have to be Goldberg. You're going to get the same thing out of getting Goldberg, whether it's for the title or not.
Exactly.
So, and you know what? Not for nothing. If it's not for the title, it's less pressure on Goldberg. Which means he'll probably even look even better, because he won't sort himself out, because he gets in his own head. We've seen that in his documentaries.
Yep. Well, that's what happened in Saudi Arabia. He was the main event with the Undertaker, and he had and he just fucked himself up. He got too excited about it, and then headbutted that. He gave himself a concussion right off the bat.
I think that wasn't that the show where he banged his head on the door like he normally does, but he really knocked himself out.
Yep.
And that's what that was a whole fucking disaster.
Right. It was. It's 2 50-year-old guys wrestling in Saudi Arabia. It was 150 degrees out.
It was hot. It was real hot out there.
Speaking of documentaries, did you guys the Yokozuna one?
Oh, that was great. Yeah, we'll talk about that very briefly, then get back to the Rumble. Goldberg is an attraction. See, this is, again, it's something that, if you watch the video feed, Bob, who knows Cat, works with Cat, is not somebody who knows every roster member. But when he hears something like Goldberg, he's interested. And that's a lot,
right.
When people Hogan, Stone Cold, Rock, Sting, Goldberg, they hear those names from years ago, then they come back in. After the Drew Goldberg thing was Sasha beating Carmella for the retaining the SmackDown Women's Championship.
Another decent match. I will say this too. There was a moment in that match towards the end that I was really afraid that Carmella really fucked herself up with that face.
The suicide.
And I don't know. I'm assuming the people on this show, of course, caught it, but right afterwards, very subtly, you could tell Sasha was checking on her. She was tapping her on the back. She definitely was kind of, hey, what's going on?
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah. Reginald is what he is. It's just so weird to see, like, he's her sommelier, but it's like her black manservant, and I'm just, it's a little too.
It's Virgil 2.0.
He's great though.
Yeah.
He's great though.
Yeah.
He's great on the mic. He's great athletically. He was doing some great shit in the ring.
Against her, and he didn't really bump because he's a former Cirque du Soleil performer. So it's more Cirque du Soleil. The way that they take a bump is like they roll through. It's kind of like lucha libre when the guys do the shoulder roll forward and back. So anything that she did, arm drags and all that shit, he was flipping through. And look, that just looks so clean when he did it. So I'm hoping once he's at the level they think he's ready, now that he's established on TV as this sommelier guy, there's going to be a day where he takes that bottle of wine and sticks it up somebody's ass, and now he's in an intercontinental title match. You know what I mean?
He did nothing but make himself look stellar in that match against Sasha. So he definitely got noticed.
He's got good hair. You know what I mean? Reginald is a pimp. Bob, you're right. Reginald is a pimp. Because I think you look at him and he's like a person like Bianca. If you see how Bianca Belair walk down the street, you go, well, she looks like she could be in movies. And you look at that guy, you're like, that guy could be in movies. So I think he's already having that entertainment experience in Cirque du Soleil. He could potentially be fast-tracked to being a main roster member. So more power to Reginald, man. I'm looking forward to that. Carmella she's gotten better by degrees. It is what it is.
She's gotten, let's call it, she's gotten worlds better.
Yeah.
She's improved big time.
She was like a 2 or a 3, and now she's like a 6 or a 7 wrestling wise. Obviously not look. She's always been a 10, except they take bad pictures of her and they do her makeup terribly like every other woman.
I think she looked horrible the other night. I'm sorry.
They don't that glam squad or whatever they call it. They don't do a good job with the women's makeup, unfortunately.
They didn't do good with her, and they made Nia look like crap.
Well, Nia, I mean, that goes all the way back to Steve Credo from the Marks for Life Facebook group. If you haven't joined Marks for Life, he calls her old saddlebags because that outfit she has 2 saddlebags
on the side. I know. It's not even the outfit anymore, though, because they're trying to overcompensate the shitty costume with the hair and makeup, and they're not doing a good job there either. She's such a pretty girl.
It's almost like Luna Vachon or Bull Nakano, where you had like a pretty girl and you put ugly makeup on her.
But you could tell Bull Nakano was still pretty underneath that. You could tell that Luna Vachon was pretty. Even Sherry Martel. Sherry Martel wasn't an ugly looking woman. They just did all that stuff to her. Boy, it just scary, and it didn't. But scary Sherry, but that was part of the gimmick. So it was great. You're trying to make Nia look attractive, or at least I hope that's what you're trying to do. And you're not succeeding at all.
I think with Nia, it just all comes down to the outfit. It's not even the makeup, because I think one thing with Nia, I think her face is stunning, and I think the makeup, they do a great job. I think it's more so it's just the Power Ranger outfit, and we've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah, but the makeup the other night for her for the tag match, whatever, like that green and yellow eyeshadow, whatever stuff, it didn't work.
I didn't look at her hard enough.
Too much in depth for you guys, so I'll shut up. But
I wasn't really paying that much attention at that point.
We'll very, very briefly mention that Nia and Shayna defeated Asuka and Charlotte Flair with interference from both Ric Flair and Lacey Evans.
Well, we knew that was happening.
Yeah,
and that was the pre-show match, which allowed by Charlotte losing. I guess it didn't matter if she lost or not, but these girls worked so early that they could take a little bit of time before the Rumble match to kind of relax. I think it's weird. I'll just mention it now because I don't know if we're going to get into Raw in 25 minutes, but it's still weird to me that Charlotte came in, won the tag titles with Asuka. They lost them at the pay-per-view, and then on Monday night,
they were in a tag match again. Like, that was their perfect opportunity to have them go their separate ways.
But in the interview, sure, I know Asuka doesn't necessarily speak the world's greatest English, but come on. They're pointing at Charlotte. Charlotte's cutting this big, long promo, and Asuka's literally standing back there like she's got this big-ass belt, championship belt around her waist, and she's like waiting there, like waiting for somebody's turn to talk. No, she's the champ. She should be up front and center. That's what I'm saying. I think it's sooner rather than later that Asuka loses that title, probably to Charlotte, and then Charlotte and Lacey is the WrestleMania match, but Charlotte's going to win.
So you think
now that we know
they're going to
be Charlotte against Asuka in a rematch at WrestleMania, but I think Charlotte's just going to win the title in the next 4 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, but Vince, understand what you're saying. Then you're saying that they're going to prolong this Charlotte Lacey Evans feud until WrestleMania. We do have another pay-per-view
that's true.
beforehand. That's a long fucking time to keep this feud going. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but
the problem is everything is so up in the air. Usually you think after the Rumble and after Monday Night Raw, you've got a very good idea of what's going on for the WrestleMania pay-per-view.
Hence why they call it the road to WrestleMania. Yeah. Rumble kind of puts everything in place, and we have no clue.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, even Edge, there's a question of who he's going to challenge. Spoiler alert, if you didn't watch the pay-per-view. Is he going to challenge Drew, or is he going to challenge Roman? Now, the scuttlebutt is that he's going to go and challenge Roman, but he's going to do that tease of like, he said he's not going to call his shot. He's the ultimate opportunity.
Yeah, but now, hold on a second. Is he though? Because every rumor I've been hearing now, and again, it's a rumor, so who the fuck knows, and anything could change. But for the longest time, I've been hearing that Goldberg Roman is what they've been talking about for WrestleMania.
But it could be Spear versus Spear with Edge now. You know what I mean? Like,
that's true.
They might have thought that they might have had Goldberg in the pocket in case Edge didn't come back on time. So Goldberg is always a good backup plan because he wrestles one match a year, and the way he wrestles, he's not going to get injured. So maybe they kind of had Goldberg on deck, and then when they realized Edge was going to be back on time, they are going to go with that. But again, we don't know. He's not going to make it clear right away. He's already established that on Monday night. He's not just going to call his shot right away. He's going to think about it. So, let's see. We'll do all that. Oh yeah, last man standing match. Roman Reigns retains over Kevin Owens. Can I just tell you something? This is the problem that I have with this Roman Reigns.
You can't tell me that match wasn't great. I mean, we'll go over the issues with it, of course, but overall,
you have with the character, and it's a good match. The only issue I have with the character is that Roman Reigns, as the tribal chief, the head of the table, the big bad guy of wrestling now, he's selling too much for these guys. It's fucking Kevin Owens. As much as I like Kevin Owens, if this guy is the new guy, he shouldn't be looking as visually, it looked like he lost that match about 5 times, which doesn't tell me that he's the best wrestler on the roster, the head of the table, all this stuff. And maybe that's the story that they're telling, is he's projecting this strength when he's not as strong. But this is the same problem we had when he was a babyface. He'd go in there and he'd get the shit kicked out of him by like Brock Lesnar, and he wouldn't look as good because he wasn't making as big of a comeback. He was just getting the shit kicked out of him. This is the same kind of thing. He's getting the shit kicked out of him, and then 350-pound Paul Heyman, shaped like an egg, waddles over and unlocks him from the handcuffs. Like, what the fuck? This is your guy. This is the guy that's supposed to lead the brand for the next 10 years until you find a new guy.
And not only that, but that was the crucial spot in the match.
And they fucked it up.
They fucked it up.
It was fucked up to the point where the conclusion to the match almost changed because Heyman couldn't get the handcuff off because it was put on up inside out. So the hole was, Heyman couldn't get to it or some shit.
Yeah.
And then the best thing the ref could think to do is just stop without any explanation. Like, come up with something like, oh shit, something flew in my eye. Or,
or have Heyman get up
and knock out the ref.
Referee. Yep.
They got to think about I know it's a live program. You don't think about the moment, but goddamn, you're wrestlers.
But you know what? Someone like Heyman should think about that in the moment.
Exactly.
These guys should all know especially the referee. The referees. Here's the thing: the referees for the last several years now, at least since Cody Rhodes has been away, it's been 3 or 4 years now. The referees are paid a bonus if they count somebody out who if the wrestler fucks up and forgets to kick out of a pin or forgets to get back in the ring, the referees are supposed to call a shoot 3 count or a shoot 10 count, and then the referee gets a bonus, a financial bonus.
Really?
They get paid extra if they catch one of the wrestlers fucking up.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
So that guy in the back of his mind's going, I'm counting. If I get to 10, Roman Reigns, I don't give a shit about Roman. I'm taking my bonus.
Yeah.
And then,
oh shit.
I'm sure somebody in his ear was like, "You better stop fucking counting, or you're fired."
Oh wow! I did not know that.
Neither
That's
did I.
interesting.
They get a bonus, like enforcing that. That was another thing they brought in when they were forced the one. WWE, there's an unwritten written rule that you're only allowed one interference by your partner to break up a tag per match. Any other time that somebody breaks up a pin without being tagged in, or if you enter the ring without being tagged in, you're supposed to be thrown out. They've used it very sparingly, but that's another thing that the referees can catch you on, and they get a bonus. So it's a way to get the wrestlers to keep things on track. But it's also like now these referees have a reason to fast count somebody. Like, do you remember back in the day? Sometimes they go 1, 2, and they knew the guy was supposed to kick out, and they put their arm up a little bit, and they're like, and then they gave the guy the chance. They're not doing that.
Calling a Hebner.
Yeah, exactly. It's not Baby Earl anymore, man. So that was, again, match was fine. I liked all the shit. They did
some great spots in that match.
Yeah,
great spots in that match.
/ AEW golf cart spot.
It was funny as hell.
The difference is between the WrestleMania spot from WrestleMania 19 or whatever it was, and the AEW one from Stadium Stampede, and then this one from the Royal Rumble, is that on the AEW one and this year's Royal Rumble, both guys got hit by a car. I don't think anybody got hit by the golf cart in WrestleMania 19. They hit the power cable and almost cut the power to the whole building. They had to get out of the golf cart. And that was Kane. Because Raven explained, Kane was driving like a cartoon, push-pull, like he would, not realizing that it looks funny, but it also makes the golf cart drive like that. It doesn't have power steering. So he was doing this, and the golf cart was shaking, and it went off track. But anyway, it was fine. It was fine overall. Like, I think this pay-per-view it wasn't an A, but it was a solid B plus.
It wasn't one of the best rumbles I've seen, but I think both Rumble matches were great. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the men's now.
Yep. Just one side note, really quick though, because we were talking about Edge before. He did tweet that he's confirmed for NXT tomorrow, also as well.
So he really is teasing that he could challenge for any of the belts.
Correct.
And he said he's not working a part-time schedule. He said, I'm not playing the greatest hits. That was what he said. He's going to be fucking out there, which is good.
I am so fucking happy for him that he is at a point now where he can come back and work a full-time schedule and look as great as he did 2 nights in a row. I just fucking awesome. I was fortunate enough that my wife flew us to Atlanta.
Wow.
And saw what we thought was Edge's final match. And now to fast forward 10 years.
That's great.
It's fucking awesome.
That's awesome.
I mean, my birthday is today.
Happy fucking birthday, dude.
My birthday present. Thank you. That was a bit, I mean, what better birthday present than one of my favorite wrestlers winning the friggin' Royal Rumble from number one. There was only 3 people that have already. It's Edge, Shawn Michaels, and
I'll say it, Chris Benoit.
But that's what the WWE does. They go, only 3 men have come from number 1, and one of them is Shawn Michaels. You're like, they're not allowed to say. But it was amazing that he did that. Again, we talked about this last week when it was just me and Steve. I didn't like that they gave away who the number 1 and 2 was, but whatever.
Same.
Then we get into the match itself. Edge and Orton come out. Orton didn't eliminate anybody. The entire match eliminated 0 people. Edge attacked him before the bell or at the beginning of whatever. They roll out of the ring. Edge beats the shit out of Randy Orton and they cart him off. Now everybody's thinking, which is what almost happened. Remember that time Roman Reigns just laid on the outside and then won the Royal Rumble? That was the first thing that popped in my head, and I sent that message to you guys. I'm like, if he does this Roman Reigns comeback, I'm going to be pissed. And they almost did it. They teased it. RKO, blah, blah, blah. And then, spoiler alert again, Edge was able to recover from that and actually throw him out, which is a nice fake out.
Yeah. But Randy Orton didn't eliminate anybody?
0 people. That's what I was reading online that he eliminated.
But you know what, though? He wasn't, if you think about it, he wasn't really in the match all that long. And then to be honest, it was long enough where I completely forgot that he was still in the match. So then when he showed up, I was like, oh, fuck. Edge is gonna, and then it was a nice.
Usually that means the guy loses when
Does anybody know what he was saying to Sami Zayn?
Who was saying?
He was, I like your whatever. Like he had this really goofy look on his face, and he kept screaming at Sami Zayn.
Oh, I don't know.
No, I have to go back and try and watch it again then.
So let me see who's in this Rumble here. See, I thought that I thought Booker T was going to be in the Rumble. Oh, thank you, Bob. Thank you for wishing me a happy birthday. And I am an old man now. I thought Booker T.
Please, you're still in diapers. Who are you kidding? He has no idea how old you really are.
But I thought Booker T was going to come out to the Bad Bunny song and then enter the Rumble. That was one of my picks. I was kind of disappointed. Edge and Randy started the match. Zayn, Mustafa Ali. Carlito came out, which was a great.
That was a good one.
I'm happy.
That was a fantastic surprise. We've been talking about it for a while, and not for nothing, he looks better now than he did then.
He was all messed up. I mean, look at him; he was jacked.
No, but I mean, even body wise, like like he always had a little bit of a stomach, like nothing crazy. He still had muscles and shit, but now he seems pretty lean. It was great to see him. He looked great. He looks like he hasn't missed a step. Now, my question about Carlito, what are we getting out of Carlito? Because at first I thought there was talks about him being a backstage agent.
Yeah.
But now he also did a tag match with Jeff Hardy on Raw, which was great. So are we going to get a little more of Carlito in the ring?
Situation.
What was that?
It's the MVP situation.
Yeah.
Was brought back to wrestle a match or two just to see if he could still go, and then they put him backstage, and then they realized, well, why do we have this guy backstage when he can still do what he does? And you can take Carlito, who's also Carlito's Puerto Rican, right?
Yeah.
Carlito Caribbean, like his dad, Carlos Colon, owns the WWI in Puerto Rico. He could be right in that mix with Damian Priest and Bad Bunny. You could drop Carlito back into the Intercontinental U.S. title championship kind of mid-card.
He's only 41, too.
He's not that old of a guy.
Not that old.
That's the thing. MVP is a few years older than Carlito. Carlito got released when he was like 25 or something. He was really young. So there is an opportunity. I like Carlito. I always thought I know it was like attitude problems and stuff, but
well, I think at the end it came down to money. No,
yeah. Well,
he wanted more money, and he knew others were making more, and
he wanted to be like a main event guy, a singles guy. They had him with his cousin, they had him with his brother, all this other shit. His mentality was back then. My dad runs the biggest wrestling promotion in Puerto Rico and has been the top champion for like 30 years. Whenever WWE needs Latino stars, they contact my dad. My dad takes guys from Puerto Rico and sends them to the WWF or the WWE, and then they get over and they're big. He thought, being a second generation wrestler coming from Carlos Colon's lineage, that he was going to be like the Samoans. He was just going to get these like title opportunities and all this shit without putting the work in, but without putting in the amount of work that like a John Cena, who was nobody and had to build himself up. He thought he was
mentality.
At the end of the day, for as much as I always liked Carlito, I liked him more as a heel than anything. I loved just the whole apple and the spitting in the face. And, I loved the backbreaker in the end. I liked all of it. But I never saw him as a main event guy. He was always a mid-card ICUS type of guy. And to me, I never, even now, as impressed as I am to see him back and how great he looks, he's still, to me, he's not a world title guy. I don't know why, but he's just
thing. Like you just have a feel, like when you look at somebody, they can hold the world title or not. I mean, it's kind of easy, especially with this old NWA, WCW, WWE World Heavyweight Championship belt. You have a picture in your head. You go, with this belt, look right around that person's waist, and you're like, You look at the world title, you're like, that's not really Carlito's belt. But How about this?
An IC belt, a U.S. Heavyweight Championship belt. Yep.
It's good on him. I think it's the right, and it's the right fit. You aren't building a brand off of Carlito. But what you could do is you have the Hurt business with all these guys.
Get together as a tag team, even too.
But here's two guys. Epico and Primo haven't been on TV in like a year. Carlito, Primo, and Epico.
Yeah.
You bring them back. You have those two guys be the younger guys be the tag guys.
Are they still in the company?
They're still under contract.
They're still under contract, but they're not performing anywhere.
It's another favor. I don't want to say I make these things sound so bad, but they're not. It keeping those guys under contract is another favor to Carlos Colon.
Yep.
Because Vince always had a soft spot for Carlos and his family, so he doesn't want to leave these guys out. It's like the Samoans right now. If there was a Samoan that needed a job, I'm sure Vince would just put him in NXT or something. Just
you mean Nina?
But I'm just with the two Usos. So one of them's injured, and one of them may or may not have COVID, or may have a new injury because they're both not cleared right now.
Right.
But so Royal Rumble, the Miz.
I think. Well, let's talk about surprises.
Yes.
Kane was a very nice surprise. I was not expecting to see Mr. Mayor. So that was
to the Knoxville Community College.
Yeah.
The money that he made to a scholarship program.
Is that right?
Yeah. No, that's cool.
That is cool. And he looked great. I mean, he did his thing. That was a nice surprise. Listen, there weren't as many surprises in the men's as I would have liked, of course.
Seth Rollins came back, which was kind of
but that wasn't a surprise. I don't know. I felt for a while that was happening. So to me, that wasn't Braun. You knew because of SmackDown.
Yeah. Christian was
that was a nice surprise.
Christian was the big surprise of the night.
The reports that last year when they did that thing with Orton, leading to Edge against Orton, they did the fake attack. They advertised Christian to wrestle in a match. He wasn't cleared to wrestle, so they had to do a backstage attack where the camera cuts to Christian laying on the floor going, "Oh no, somebody hit me." And they didn't want him to take any bumps. Apparently, now the issue was something with head injuries, concussions is kind of a similar issue to what Daniel Bryan had. Daniel Bryan underwent some treatment with oxygen therapy, and there's a certain amount of time for you inhale pure oxygen rather than inhaling air. For those of you who don't know, air doesn't just have O2 oxygen in it. It's got particulates and this and that and nitrogen and other things. It's not pure oxygen. The pure oxygen, apparently, from what they've come up with in the last few years, if you do this pure oxygen therapy, the pure oxygen increases the blood flow to your body and then to your brain. And then the increased blood flow helps to bring back those parts of the brain that were damaged through head injuries and concussions. I don't think it's like a cure-all where you're instantly healed, but it seems like this new treatment that they've started to do has improved the quality of these guys' lives. Not even Bob knows where, but so this is a new, and not necessarily brand new, but a newer medical thing that they're doing that now Christian has kind of hooked into it and can wrestle again. I mean, it was another.
Hey, listen, now let's see if we can get
done.
Let's see if we can get Paige on board with this.
I know.
Yeah.
He's too young and too great of a talent to have to be sidelined. You know what I'm saying?
I would really love it if she hasn't been saying anything to anyone and she just comes back, whether it's AEW, NXT, whatever. It
needs to be WWE. It has to be. I'm sorry.
I don't want to personally. I don't want to hear. Oh, did you guys hear Paige is going to that new doctor? I don't want to hear shit. I want Paige to not say a word, and I just want to be pleasantly surprised when she comes out one day.
Yeah, you know when? And next year's
Royal Rumble.
And next year's Royal Rumble. That's when I would want to see it. Yeah, you know what I mean?
She looked really good on FS1 the other night.
She always looks good. God damn.
No, she looks like she's been training again. I mean, though.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Like actually, she had muscle. She had.
She lost some muscle.
Yeah, she looked like she had lost some weight for a while. She was starting to look stacked.
Wow, that's good that she's getting back into shape here. Wow,
I love that movie. Fighting with My Family. That movie was amazing.
I gotta watch that whole thing now.
So listen, we're I can't believe it already, but we're like 5 minutes out, top of the hour. And I just want to say the Rumble overall, think it was a great show. There is one thing I want to address before we sign off, and we can always continue our recap and so forth next week.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't, go check out the Yokozuna documentary on the network. It was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was so cool to see a side of Yokozuna. I still have people that say to me, wait, what? He was Samoan? He wasn't like, he was Samoan. He was a part of the family. And what a well done, put together doc. I recommend. It was absolutely fantastic.
One really, the heartbreaking thing about it is we all know how the story ends, and he passed away at like 34 years old. It's a tragedy.
Way too young.
Yes.
It was a story that hopefully other people will see, to understand that eating disorders aren't necessarily just to lose weight. It's not bulimia, anorexia, skipping meals. They're food addiction. And I know, because I do the same thing, but not to that extent. Food addiction is a very real thing. If you're not in the right mindset, or you're depressed, or you have other things going on, and even just being fat and being heavier than you want to be can put you in the wrong mindset, where you go, you know what? I'll just have another cheeseburger. I'll eat that plate of sushi. Fuck it. And hopefully, if people can realize that, when you see somebody who's what they call morbidly obese like that, because that's what he was, morbidly obese to the point where he died.
Not only that, but you have to understand that this is a guy who died because he loved to eat.
Mm-hmm.
Point blank, period. He died because he loved to eat. If it got to a point where WWE offered to pay for everything and send him to like Duke or some shit and get him the help he needs, and he just constantly refused, he wouldn't do it. This guy was so good.
Mm-hmm.
If he actually did it and dropped 200 pounds and still been a big guy, he would still be around today.
Yeah,
that's how, and he would be with the Usos right now. I mean, he was just, go watch the documentary, man. It was so good.
Because people might only remember after WrestleMania 9, through his run, beating, losing to Hogan at WrestleMania 9, beating Hogan at King of the Ring, tagging with Owen Hart, and then eventually kind of petering off and retiring. People don't understand when he was the great Kikina Maximus, all that stuff on the indies, and then his early run in the WWF at the time, before they decided on the Yokozuna character. He was built like the Head Shrinkers. He
was supposed to be the Head Shrinker. Rikishi got it because
people only ever see that big sumo wrestler. He was that's what I'm like. It's amazing to think that somebody who was the size of the Head Shrinkers was going to be one of
it was Sergeant Slaughter, I think, was the idea to make him Samoan.
Yep.
Or he's the one that suggested it to Vince.
And Vince goes, I can make that work. It's like, of course you could.
And then there was the whole thing that they didn't want him just to wear the diaper thing, so he put pants on with it and everything too.
Yeah.
And then to top it all off, they give him Mr. Fuji.
Yeah, who was going to retire. Yep.
Right. Which was the icing on the cake, because Fuji was so great and he was such a great heel. And the duo together, and then you threw Cornette in the mix later on. And then it was interesting to see that they paired him with Owen because they knew he couldn't go solo anymore because he was just getting too big. So it really listen
guy on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, he was so good. He was so talented. It was very well done, very emotional, because in the end it's not a great outcome. But you get to see Rikishi's on there a lot. They brought back a lot of people for the documentary, which was nice. Jim Cornette was on there. I mean, there's many, but go watch it. It's only, I think, like an hour and a half long. I would have watched another 2 hours of it. It was so good. And on that note,
we will.
God, there was just too much to cover tonight.
Yeah,
definitely was. Good reason, though.
Yeah, Yokozuna was trying to get to 900 pounds to be in the Guinness Book of World Record as the heaviest wrestler ever. I think there's like Giant Haystacks and a couple other ones that were bigger than him. at least for the world records, or maybe it was those two twins. You know, the two twins that rode on the little motorcycles, and they were big and fat. They were wrestlers too. So I don't know who actually holds that record, but that was what Yoko was trying to do. Although I think
those twins in the Guinness Book of World Records, the twins were wrestlers.
Yeah, the twins were those twins.
I never knew they were wrestlers. How do you like that?
Yeah, they were not. Yeah, everybody learns a little something on the show. It wasn't. They weren't like, they weren't main eventers or anything, but they were wrestlers. They were an attraction. So yeah, I guess I'd have to look up to see who the heaviest wrestler is in Guinness, but that was his intent. I kind of think it was a mental, it was, I want to be the heaviest wrestler, so he had an excuse to eat. He was going to eat anyway. That was the thing. He just didn't have the therapy and the help that he needed. It was a tragedy, though. But we can discuss all of this and more next week, which we do every single week. Thank you for tuning in. Big thanks to Bob keeping us alive and keeping us awake in the comments section with his comments. And we'll be back next week.
Happy birthday, Vince.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody who wished me happy birthday today. Special shout out to Eric and his parents. I know there's some illness things going on, so we hope the best for them. Heard that.
Yeah, we love you, man. We're hoping all the best for you.
And
we got you, sweetheart.
For those of you who missed Eric will be back soon once this all gets straightened out. So, yeah, that's it for this week. Just be sure to follow us on social media at Tag Me a Date, no spaces. You put that into Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, Instagram, everything. Just search for Tag Me a Date or at Tag Me a Date, and you'll find our pages. Subscribe to our YouTube, which is again Tag Me a Date. You hit that in the search bar. Hit subscribe, hit the bell to get notifications when we go live or upload new videos. Twitch.tv/War Report is another way you can get to us. And if you prefer the audio version, go to goseebob.com for all your insurance. If you're
it's like instead of the cheap pop, it's the cheap plug.
It's the cheap plug. That's
sorry, guys.
No, I'm gonna Photoshop Bob's head onto Cactus Jack, and then every week when he does this, we're gonna do the cheap plug, and it's gonna have Bob going bang bang.
I'm in.
Graphic up. But anyway,
I'm so in.
Go for our audio version. If you prefer not watch, you should watch the video. I mean, we have the video up? Watch it. But if you're one of those people that likes to work out or clean your kitchen or do laundry while listening to a podcast, go to Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or Google Play Podcasts. Search for Tag Me a Date or The War Report. Hit subscribe. The audio version goes into your podcast app the day after we go live. So on Wednesdays is when Ryan puts the audio version up. Otherwise, we'll be back next Tuesday, live streaming all over the internet on your favorite platform. Just look for The War Report, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time. So thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next week, and have a good one.